Hey guys, welcome in. It's Brad with College SportsCast. We are an hour early tonight. I have John Hammonds on with me, and we are here to do our College SportsCast, the Big Fuss Show. Week 12.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
What's up, my man?
All right, man. I'm back. Had to wait for my mic to come back in there for a second. College Sportscast. This is the Big Fuss Show Tuesday night. There's a lot of stuff going on in college basketball right now. The week has been full of stuff going on in college football. So we're excited to be with you and do this. We're doing a little early because, to be quite honest with you, Kansas and Kentucky plays in just a little bit. So we're trying to wrap this up before the game comes on. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, we don't want to be on here while it's going on. we tend to want our nerves. We tend to want our nerves in check.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening. I appreciate you being with us. The Back It Up. What does it say? Binge podcast.
The Back It Up.
Appreciate you guys being
Back
with
It Up
us. I know you're from one of our retweet groups that I'm in, so I appreciate you being. Yeah, I appreciate it. Just want to put that on there. We'll kind of get started. There's Jerry Carter with us. What's up, Jerry? That's right. Absolutely. All right. So I want to talk about home field apparel just for a minute. This week coming up, actually for 10 days, you can use the code from November the 17th through the 26th. You can use the code Black Friday for a 20% discount. So I just want to get that out real quick. And then we're going to go right into the show because I have a lot of good topics to go into tonight. We are presented by the Fanboys and Let's Talk Sports. That was on the beginning. So we're going to get into some news and hot topics. I want to start out with some college basketball stuff tonight. College basketball is getting heating up right now. And the first topic that I want to talk about is in the men's game. This and number 4, Michigan State, both lost in the opening week at home. They were both top 5 teams in the preseason. They have since dropped and are actually playing right now in the Champions. When I go to my next couple of things here, but I just wanted to open floor up, John. I mean, it's losing at home for these top teams is a little something different that you don't see. I mean, you would think it would be like, neutral site games or, something like that. But
let's be fair here. Michigan State lost at home to James Madison and Duke lost at home to Arizona. 2 completely different levels of competition.
We're going to get to Arizona. We'll get to Arizona, but I mean, because I got but I'm just saying that, so Duke actually, their loss was John Shire's very first loss at Cameron Indoor Stadium. He did not lose there last year. And Michigan State, they're playing Duke right now, and honestly, they don't look all that great. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. It's kind of odd to see these teams losing at home. I think, you know, you can play like, the Arizona game, you would think would have been played at a neutral site early in the season, and they wouldn't lose at home, even if it was the Arizona Wildcats.
I think
But
you're seeing,
having said that,
the landscape of
I'll
college
go on to
basketball
the next one here.
is changing a lot too.
Oh, it is for sure. Absolutely. I'll move on to the next one. And the next one is the Arizona statement win for Tommy Lloyd and his team. Caleb Love transferred from North Carolina, goes into Cameron Indoor Stadium the other night and beats Duke with Arizona. And I wanted to kind of get your take on the job that Tommy Lloyd is doing out at Arizona and that statement win for this season.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, if you look at his roster, from Caleb Love on down, they got Omar Ballo, the center. They got Jaden Bradley, a guard from Alabama, which he's played really well early in the year. They got Larson back as a senior. The biggest thing with this backcourt is, with Kylan Boswell and Love, this is probably one of the better backcourts, underrated backcourts in the country. And man, what Tommy Lloyd has done after the situation that happened with Sean Miller, it just felt like a trap going in there, and felt like whoever goes in there is going to be walking into a horrible situation, which they was. And a lot of people didn't think it would balloon out to what it is right now. And it took him only 2 years to do it. And for me, that says a lot about the fortitude of the coach.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of his third year.
And what Tommy Lloyd has done. He's taken on the role of kind of like a Lute Olson, going back to the Arizona teams that won back in the early 90s with Damon Stoudemire, Will Reeves, Miles Simon, those teams. So what he's doing in Arizona is very impressive to me.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. Last night, actually, move on to my next topic. The Gavitt games actually started last night. There is about 8 games this week. There is a couple of more tonight. One of them is being played right now, but I want to get to the games last night. Purdue handled Xavier pretty well last night, won by 12. Did you catch any of that game?
I didn't get to see much of it. I do know that Xavier hung tough.
Yeah, and then the Michigan,
for a little while.
Michigan beat St. John.
Michigan,
the two Gavitt games.
Michigan is very underrated. That backcourt, especially with Tug McDaniel, is going to be a threat in the Big Ten, I think. And once Juwan Howard gets back on the bench, I think you're going to see some things change a little bit. But I don't think you're going to see much change in terms of the talent that he's brought in and the transfers he's brought in. But with that said, I think we missed our point with Michigan. A lot of people had them on the outside of the top 25 starting the year, including myself. And I just thought that losing Hunter Dickinson and losing a lot of the players that they did, I thought they would kind of go down a little bit, but I was wrong. On the other side of the equation, St. John's has got a lot of work to do.
They lost Howard's son.
They did. St. John's has got Rick Pitino said it last night.
Yeah,
he said we got a lot of front depth that needs to be fixed up front.
Yeah, they do. So the Gavitt games, there's 3. Providence is handling Wisconsin pretty good. It's at Providence. Marquette plays Illinois. That's a top 25 matchup. It's tonight as well. And then Iowa plays at Creighton tonight.
They play Creighton.
And those are all, if you are a big college basketball fan, check out these Gavitt games. There, like I said, there was 2 last night. There's 3 tonight. There's 1 tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Georgetown at Rutgers.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 Friday night, and I'll get to those. We'll get to those on Thursday night, maybe when we do our game day pick'ems. But I did want to bring those up. It's a good week if you're a college basketball fan, and these Gavitt games are some nice games to watch. Good games. All right. So now we're going to get to the Champions Classic. It's actually going on right now as we speak. It was halftime when we started this show. Duke was ahead of Michigan State 31-20 at halftime. I'm not sure if the second half has started yet or not.
It ain't started yet.
What is your impression of the first half of that game? These are 4 of the most storied programs. There's over these teams have over 20 national championships. They have 60 Final Four appearances.
At first, it was a little sloppy.
These 4 teams
starting out. Both teams couldn't get going offensively, defensively. They was shutting each other down. Duke finally got a little run there before the half. To me, the biggest thing that I see going forward with Michigan State, going forward down the road, is their shooting. They're going to have a tough time if they continue to shoot 2 for 32, 3 for 33, from 3-point range. They're going to have to figure out who's a guy that they can go to. I think Jaden Atkins is a guy that they could go to. I think Hall is a guy they could run with. They're just going to have to start knocking down shots, because you're not going to beat a lot of teams when you're not hitting shots. And we've seen with that last year with Kentucky, when they wasn't making shots, things just did not happen for them.
They're struggling a little bit shooting, especially early in the season here. So, they're doing it again tonight. The only score, it's hard to hang in games, averaging 40 points a game. I mean, it's pretty hard.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, the second half has not started yet, he said. So, I still kind of expect Duke to win this game tonight, just to be honest with you. I'm not a Duke fan. I'm a Kentucky fan. I think everybody knows that. But just being on the real side, I do kind of expect Duke to win this game tonight. And then we're going to have Kentucky versus Kansas about 30, 40 minutes after the conclusion of the first game. These games are being played at the United Center in Chicago. So what do you think about the Duke and Kentucky?
Think the second game.
Kansas and Kentucky game.
I think the second game is going to be better than the first one. Just with the mere fact that, Kansas is number 1. Kentucky's got this great big recruiting class, these guards. How does Kentucky handle Hunter Dickinson? Do they play fast? Do they double team him? I think you're going to have I think what you're going to do, you're going to have Mitchell on him quite a bit. I think sometimes you might have Thero on him. It just all depends on if Kansas is making shots, and if Kentucky does not, if they can't shoot Kentucky, if they can't hit their, daily shots, the normality, I just don't think they can stay in this game for too long. But it's hard to do when you got 3 7-footers out at this point in the year, well, especially this early.
Yeah, I think Kentucky guards have got to play really well tonight if they're going to have a chance against this Kansas team and score a lot of points. I think maybe even Trey Mitchell's got to step out and bring Dickinson out and draw him outside as well in this game. Most joined us. I've got him on the screen now with us. But we're talking about the Michigan State Kansas game that's following this Duke game in Michigan State here tonight. But
Gotcha.
I wanted to bring these games up now. Kentucky is 17. So, Kansas is favored, I think, about 6 points or so in this game tonight. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I know that John and I are planning on getting off. Yeah. All right. I'm going to move on to the next one. My next one is going to talk. I've got a couple of here talking about women's college ball.
Your audio is kind of going
17-year-old daughter of Is it?
Yeah, it's
Keep going.
kind of
Miera O'Neal.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Let's go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Come on.
All right. So Shaq's daughter is signed with Florida this week. She's 6'4", 17-year-old daughter of Shaq. I just thought it's noteworthy. She's supposed to be a really dynamic player.
Yes.
All right, my next one on the women's college ball last week was the OSU and number 2 UConn. Both lost. I think that women's college basketball, they're usually dominated by in women's college basketball. And for the top teams to get knocked out in the first week, it's pretty telling of what the game is doing and how it's changing in college basketball.
Yeah, especially, with the transfer portal.
Yep. NIL and transfer portal.
Yep.
You hear me?
So.
All right. I didn't know. I mean, he said so after LSU and UConn, number 1 and number 2 get beat, South Carolina had a good week with.
Can't hear what he's saying.
Caitlin Clark is looking like she's amazing. 8 points in a game. And have you guys caught the freshman phenom Juju Watkins at USC? She had 35 and 8 last night. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm not sure, John. It was acting up before you got here, but we'll be all right, I guess.
Okay. I was just making sure.
Well, it's just going. He's kind of going over things, and I can't hear what he's saying.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was acting up before I showed up, because I know with 3 people it ends up being, issues. But No, I haven't gotten into, I mean, while basketball has gotten started, whether it's been men's or women's, I haven't really gotten into it completely immersed into it. I've actually been checking out some of the baseball stuff too. Because fall camps are finishing up, World Series are going on as far as college, and then Major League Baseball's got their stuff that I've been looking into. So that's what I've been checking out recently outside of football, plus all this stuff with the coaches firings and stuff like that. That's what I've been kind of in. So, so you said JoJo Watkins is looking pretty good with USC.
Brad?
Yeah. So, John, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's early in the season.
Yeah.
Every team's gonna look different. Every team's gonna come out pretty fiery. Caitlin Clark, she just comes back from the Final Four a year ago, championship game, I guess.
Yeah.
And she just continues to do what she does. I was really surprised with the LSU loss, just for the mere fact that I felt like they formed a super team and they lose on opening night. Like, that's just kind of, I don't know,
it takes the pressure off. They can go ahead and now win the rest of their games.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about it now. But South Carolina, to me, on a consistent basis, South Carolina's been probably the most consistent the last 3 to 4 years in women's basketball.
Yeah, I think so.
They're just so, when they had Aaliyah Boston,
right?
I think she's gone now, or is she back? I think she's in the WNBA. Isn't she?
She is.
I'm not even sure, but
no, she's gone.
I don't keep up with a lot of the I don't keep up with a lot of the college women's basketball until the tournament starts. But
yeah,
but at the same time, it's sort of like the men. Early in the year, you're going to have games where you don't look good, you don't play good, and you just got to figure out how to get better each week.
Yeah, I mean, we had some men's teams go down early too. Though some of the top teams go down early as well. So I mean, like Michigan State went down, and a few others went down.
Yeah, we already talked about those.
Well, right, but I'm just saying.
I don't mean to say this about Auburn, but even when Auburn lost to Baylor, I felt like looked really good against Baylor, though.
Controlled the majority of the game. I mean, about 3 to 4 minutes into the game, they took the lead, had the lead all the way until about 3 to 4 minutes before the game ended, and then they lost the lead. And
I'll say this about Auburn: if you haven't heard about Aiden Holloway, you're going to find out real quick in the SEC. The kid can really play basketball. Just
take some of Auburn's guards that they've had within the last couple of years, and then add the shooting aspect to it, and that's Aiden Holloway. So he's a point guard that actually can shoot, where we haven't had that
Hey guys,
we haven't had that since we had the Final Four team. So
I got a jam-packed show, so I need to move on.
Okay.
All right.
I got a jam-packed show. So
all right.
I'm gonna move on to a couple of college football, actually 3 counting this one, because there's 2 here actually. Quinn Ewers has said he's possibly leaning to coming back to Texas. Is that kind of shocking to you guys first?
No.
That Ewers might come back?
Especially with the NIL deals and stuff.
NIL deals and the fact that he's been hurt, so he hasn't had such a stellar performance that he's, going to be a number 1 draft pick. And I think there's a pretty decent quarterback class. So I think he was thinking about sticking around for another year before going out.
But the big issue here, though, is what's Arch Manning going to do? Like, because you're going to be
that's the next question on this one.
What does that mean for Arch Manning?
Right. So we've had.
What does that mean for Arch Manning?
We've tossed around other ideas. I think his final 3 were Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. I think those were his final three. Now, I don't think those are the same schools that he would still be looking at. I mean, he may still be looking at Alabama and Georgia as well. But I think that it opens up a lot of places. I know, Brad, you've been, adamant about the West Coast. I don't know if the West Coast is going to be something that he does. I think he stays in the. I think he may stay in the Southeast. I think
I don't think so.
I think that or maybe it was somebody else in our group chat kept pushing the West Coast.
According to reports today, UCLA is getting ready to fire Chip Kelly, so that could be an option. I mean, it just depends on.
It depends on who they get and what they're about. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, you can look at it and go, okay, Texas A&M could be a good one to go to. Say what? Say what?
So, well, if you're talking about UCLA or USC, they're going to be playing in the Big Ten. I just don't see Arch Manning and the Mannings going to a Big Ten school.
No.
I just don't see it.
If he did, he would have to be given a lot of NIL money.
I mean, there's 4 teams from the West Coast that are going to go to Big Ten, but does that mean they're going to morph into Big Ten?
I just don't see it.
Into Big Ten play, or is that just are you more just saying that he's going to have to play cold weather games?
I just think where his dad and his brother and
I mean, there's no family that's more integrated into the southern, to South than the Manning family. If you ask me.
Well, I mean, obviously, yes, they grew up in New Orleans, and one played Mississippi, the dad and 2 of the sons played at Mississippi. One played in Tennessee. So, and then when they all went and played in the NFL outside of Archie. One went and played in Big Ten country, Indianapolis, and the other one went and played in Big Ten country, New York, New Jersey.
But that's pro level. It
is. But again,
different from college.
But that was
it is. Well, their dad played in New Orleans, and that's where they grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So doesn't mean that
LSU is probably going to be looking for a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Nussmeier right now, but yes, they could. They will be looking probably to see. Because
Jayden Daniels. Yeah. For me, Jayden Daniels is gone after this year.
Well, yeah, of course. And so, look, there's a bunch of schools right now. Okay, you're going to have Ole Miss is obviously a prime choice because of having Lane Kiffin as a head coach.
Well, I mean,
I think
Ole Miss
Jackson
is obvious.
Yeah, it's an obvious choice. I still don't think Tennessee is as obvious as everybody says, but Tennessee because of Heupel more so than because of the fact that Peyton went there. Okay, I honestly think that depending on who Texas A&M hires, that might be a place to go. That might be a landing spot. Also, he could still go to Georgia. I don't know if Georgia's going to be it. There have been rumors of
right now,
Florida, and I don't know about Florida either. So, but I kind of think LSU. I thought about that, and I thought about possibly, you could also look at Arkansas, depending on what happens with Arkansas as well. But I don't honestly don't think about Arkansas as much as I do, possibly
team like LSU or something.
A&M or LSU, because I feel like A&M is a spot that he could land.
You got to get some offensive mind in there.
Yeah, that's fact.
Well, it just depends on who it depends on if Elko becomes the guy. It depends on if they hire who the offensive coordinator is. If it's because honestly, I'm not sure if Lanning's going to be the guy, but if Lanning's the guy, again, offensive coordinator. Got to get an offensive
it's hard to
coordinator.
tell
So,
right now.
yeah, it is. It is. So,
I don't. That's going to be another one of our topics is Lanning.
Right.
So we'll
Correct.
get to that. But yeah. So I just don't see it. But those are some of the schools that I think that Manning might wind up at. If Ewers comes back, I do not think we'll see him at Texas and setting a second year. I just don't see it.
no, because both Peyton
So
and Eli have
the next
voiced.
topic,
Both Peyton and Eli have voiced that
yeah,
if he's
yeah. I mean, I just
that he
don't
should be
see-
starting next year, and if he's not, then he's not going to be there.
Right. All right. So my next topic is Harbaugh is set to show up and speak at this court hearing on Friday. What do you think about him being suspended? He's going to court to try to fight being suspended. I mean, this whole thing is an absolute mess, if you ask me. What do you guys think about it? Hammonds, what do you think about it first?
To me, I feel like the head coach should be not suspended in this situation. To me, I mean, I get the fact that he's part of that team, and he's over a lot of that stuff, and he's overseeing a lot of things. But I think it was a little too harsh. Now, would I've suspended him in maybe a game? Yeah. But the whole season, I think that was too much to me. And I just think, to me, I said it yesterday, I believe that this is his last year at Michigan. I think he'll walk out after the year's over because I think
It could be with all this stuff
I
going
just
on.
feel like there's going to be some NFL openings happening, and I think he's looking maybe to go back to the NFL because he done really good when he was with the 49ers. I mean, didn't he? I think he took him to the NFC Championship once, Super Bowl maybe. So I think there's just and there's just a lot of stuff on his plate, and I think that at some point you just break at a juncture, and I think that's where he's at right now. He's at a breaking point, and
it feels, John. It feels like to me that it's kind of a witch hunt. Are they just out to get Harbaugh? Because that's kind of what it feels like.
Well, what it is, it goes from Michigan with Connor Stallions. Then it goes that we've seen an Ohio State staffer somewhere, and they're blaming another staff for doing this. And then it goes from this to this, like from one thing to the next. Like Rutgers was seeing Stein stuff. Like it's a witch hunt in the Big Ten. Like I don't know.
I mean, the Big Ten, how many controversies and stuff? I mean, it's ridiculous. You got the Northwestern stuff. You got the Michigan State stuff.
Problem.
Now you got this going on with Michigan.
Well, here's the main problem that John Roberts will agree with me with. No matter what Michigan does, say for instance they get to the college football playoff. Say they win the whole thing. They're going to say, well, that championship's tarnished because they cheated. It's not going to be because they won it. It's going to be because they cheated and they stole signs. It's going to be tainted.
Yeah, they cheated. They stole signs, so much so that the head coach and the guy that was doing the stealing was not on the field against a top 10 team, and they beat that team, and they beat them handedly. So much cheating.
But
so much.
Still don't matter.
I mean, I get it. No, I get it. I'm just gonna sit there and laugh at people that say that. I know, and I'm gonna laugh at them. And be like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah. So, do you think? I mean, do you think that this is kind of a witch hunt against Harbaugh? Because that's what it feels like to me.
I mean, sure, but the problem is for all
I
these
mean,
other teams is
how
that
many
probably
teams?
Michigan's
How
going
many
to sit
teams?
there and have
How many teams have
listen.
done by?
The other teams have got are going to go in there and they're going to jump on this, and then Michigan's going to turn around and have documented proof that everybody else is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to be like, what do you do then? Because at that point,
exactly
when they drop the
it's a can of
when
worms.
they drop that when they drop the hammer on everybody else, this is why nobody really went after teams, for buying players and doing all this other stuff before NIL. Like, okay, Mississippi State got mad because Cam Newton didn't take the money from Mississippi State, so they immediately went and ratted out Auburn for paying Cam Newton. Okay, well, Auburn was pretty good about covering their tracks and covering their rear end. They had the biggest CYA, department in there that made sure that they weren't going to get in trouble for whatever happened. Okay, don't care if they did it.
Right.
Don't care if they didn't do it. Just saying that they were very good in making sure that they weren't caught. Okay, and you had somebody that ratted them out because they knew that because they had tried and they had failed. So these other teams are doing the same thing, and you're going to F around and find out. Because I think Michigan could easily just drop the bomb and be like, okay, guess what? All you people are messing up too.
I'm gonna bring up something that kind of,
and that's what's going to wind up happening.
This kind of replies back to what this is. It's kind of a metaphor, or like it sort of reminds me of the time that you had the plane ride from hell with the WWE. You remember that, John Roberts, when Ric Flair in the WWE, they all went on a plane and all these accusations happened on the plane and nobody could really know what really went on. And it was a big black eye to the company, and Jim Ross ended up firing 2 or 3 performers because of what happened on the bus. That's what this feels like with Michigan. Like there's so many at fault, but nobody's willing to take the blame for it.
Yeah, because everybody's at fault. But nobody wants to be. I mean, nobody's going to want to be singled out.
Nobody wants to be the scapegoat.
I think.
Oh yeah. Nobody wants to be scapegoat.
Other schools that are doing the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they are.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. So, but
our pick 6, towards Texas A&M fired Jimbo this week, early this week. So I want to get your guys' opinion on actual Texas that they will actually go after. And you can do,
I think
3.
I'll go
you can do
first.
3 or whatever, and then that way we'll have our 6.
My number 1 would be Dan Lanning from Oregon. I think he's turned Oregon around in 2 years. He's made Oregon a contender, especially with Bo Nix at quarterback. The second guy we look at is Mike Elko from Duke. I think he could bring a style that they would love because he had that same style when Texas A&M was there, when he had the defense there. And I think the third guy, I know people think I'm crazy for this, but I'm going to say it, is Lane Kiffin. Could you imagine what Lane could do in Texas with recruiting, with what he's already done at Ole Miss? You could, let's just be real here. Yeah, he's turned Ole Miss around. They're still not on the level.
With the money that they can throw around, yeah.
Turned Ole Miss around. What's the record?
What I mean, he's
They're 8-2, right? They're 8-2.
He's done better than what they had. Is what I'm saying.
8-2.
They'll be 10-2 and still won't win the West.
But what I'm saying, compared to what before he got there, they was average to me. Like before they lost Hugh Freeze.
I was going to say Hugh Freeze was one game out from being in Atlanta. The only problem was that he lost the tiebreaker to the team that did go, and I think it was
Alabama.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
There's not going to be a tiebreaker for Lane. So like he still hadn't done what Hugh Freeze did.
Well, and two, Texas A&M is eating this 76 man buyout. Like, let's be real here. Me and you and Brad could probably live on Tariqa.
Yeah, but they don't have.
You got billionaires.
They don't have money.
Billionaires.
They clearly don't have money issues.
No, they don't.
Have money
They've got guys that their grandkids and great grandkids and great grandkids will be set for life, no matter how much money they blow through their.
They got a bunch of these, top boosters.
There's
a lot of money.
We're going to get to some money stuff.
The richest school in the SEC is Texas A&M this year. Next year, the richest school in the SEC will be Texas. Okay. Those two do not have any money issues. It's just whether they are willing or not willing. It's not a do we have it or don't we have it. It is a do we want to or do we not want to? How bad do we want to do it? That's it. One person could cover all that stuff.
They might go after.
Okay, so obviously right now you've talked about 2 defensive guys and 1 offensive guy. I don't think if you listen to Ross Bjork's statement Sunday, he goes into a list of criteria that they're looking at for the next person. Okay, he's describing who he thinks the next person should be. Okay, Lane Kiffin doesn't fit any of that. Okay, he doesn't fit that whole deal. You can go after him all you want, but I just don't think they're even going to go after him because I don't think he fits what they are trying to do. Okay, he doesn't fit the mold. They talk about people that fit with their culture, the A&M culture. So you got to think about the people that are that would fit with a cult. Okay, all right. I mean that's really what it is. Okay, and it's like Lane would be so much against that. It's not him. Okay, you know who I would go after.
Yeah. So who do you think would be?
Dabo Sweeney. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Dabo actually fits with it. He does. He fits it. Oh, I'm not saying he's going, and I'm not saying that they're going to go after him, but I think he fits the mold better. I think Elko is going to be the guy right off the bat. I think that's the number one that if they went after him, he says yes and he goes out there. Okay. 2, because I think that they go after Lanning, but I don't know if Lanning's actually going to do it.
Josh, I would. He said, what about Chip Kelly? Let me just answer him here. The reason why I wouldn't go Chip Kelly, everywhere, Chip Kelly had those years at Oregon where he was really good, right? Mm-hmm. Since then, it's been just mediocre results.
I think it's going to be somebody that understands Texas, the state of Texas. Okay, not just the SEC, but the state of Texas. Okay, so I think you need people that have had dealings inside the state of Texas. Okay, and Lane may go recruit inside the state of Texas, but I don't think he deals with the state of Texas. All right. I think Elko, because Elko was was a D coordinator for A&M. I think you kind of go after some of the maybe a former offensive coordinator from A&M. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is the guy. I know that he was, I think, arbitrarily thrown on there. But maybe a former offensive coach in the state of Texas.
Let me throw out Bobby Petrino. Does Bobby Petrino have a chance to stay there?
No, because they would have named him the interim coach.
I don't even think Mac Brown would take that job, to be honest with you.
No, he's not it either.
They're wanting somebody that's
not now.
He's
not interested.
If it was early in his career, I could maybe see it, but they're wanting somebody that's up and coming that can start now and win now.
And that is not going to be worth $10 million a year. Because they're not going to pay. I also don't think they're going to pay $10 million. I think that you either get an established coach.
But Bo, that's not out of the realm. Dion,
who?
I wouldn't put it past Dion.
They're not going to offer Dion. He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit
could
Texas.
Could you imagine the resources that Dion would have at his disposal in Texas?
Also, I think that he won't move from Colorado until his son is gone.
Leaves anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Once his son's gone, then I think he's open for recruitment at that point from any school. I think any school then could go after him, and he may, he will take offers at that point. So
all right,
there
guys.
Yeah.
We'll move on to no-fly zone.
These have been some fun topics tonight.
Because I got a few here, and then I've got one we might talk about. I've got one here that I think, and this is we were kind of getting into it just a few minutes ago. We were getting into the money side of all this, and I want to throw a number out at you guys. Since the start of the 22 season in college football, there is now over $146 million owed to fired college football coaches. $146 million by universities that's owed to fired college football coaches. Is this going to ruin college athletics and these programs?
I think it is.
No.
I mean, I'm gonna give you a list. I know Texas A&M has the money, okay, but I'm gonna give you a list. Just since 2022, Brian Harrison is owed $15.5 million by Auburn. Scott Frost is owed $15 million by Nebraska. Collins is owed $11.4 million from Georgia Tech. Paul Chryst is owed $11 million from Wisconsin. Dorrell is owed $8.7 million from Colorado. Herm Edwards is owed $4.4 million from Arizona State. And Zach Arnett is owed $4 million from Mississippi State. And this $146 million does not include Mel Tucker or Pat Fitzgerald, because they are having to go to court to fight for theirs.
Well, they're going through.
So that $146 million does not include theirs.
Okay, so what we're looking at is 140. You're looking at 146
million.
You're looking at 146 million, and 76 of it is Jimbo Fisher. So 70 million of it is other coaches since 2022. All right. In the course of this year,
Jimbo Fishers. Yes.
I just said that. Yes. Right now in the year of our Lord 2023, within the last 3 days of fired coaches, we have had 83 million go to fired coaches. Okay. 83 million. We will eclipse, pretty much guarantee we're going to eclipse the highest year in which there were buyouts being paid, which I believe was 2021. Okay. So you're talking about 2022. If you go back a year, 2021, when Gus was fired and those other ones, Gus was 21 million who was the highest paid buyout by any school until Jimbo Fisher like tripled it, almost quadrupled it. But anyway, so I think in 2021 it was 93 million total, or 93 or 96 million or something like that over the course of the coaching firing season. And right now we're at 83. You got to think that.
Yeah, but I'm not.
What I'm saying is this.
John, is
yeah,
how much money is being spent.
Right. Okay. So, but you're also talking about one guy that's getting 76. One, and nobody else is going to touch doing that contract again. Okay.
No.
So you're not going to deal with that again. So one guy is 76 million. If you're talking about 146 million, so you're talking over 2 years, it's 70 million, which is less than the one guy that got fired. You can say this about whatever. I mean, you can put him and Gus together and be the two highest paid buyouts together, and you're at $7 million between the two of them. So, but I think that schools are going to figure it out because they're paying money now for, or at least the boosters that are in this and these NIL collectives are paying money now for all the players. Players are going to be, the teams are going to be worth $76 million, okay, or $100 million, okay, themselves. The coaches, what's going to ultimately happen, you're going to start paying more money for players and salaries for coaches are going to go down. You know why? Because that's the way the NFL is. The salaries of the NFL, the players make the money, the coaches don't. So what will end up happening? The
boosters pay for most of the coaches' salaries anyways.
Correct. So what's going to end up happening is the way the college landscape is going to go, it's going to go very close to the way the NFL goes. It's just going to take longer to get there, and it's going to be spread out over more people. You don't have your collective for ownership of a team is maybe a handful of people, whereas your collection plate at the offering of, the church of, name your school here, Kentucky is, 100 people, whatever it is that you want to deal with. So you've got a lot of people you can pay, a lot, but I think what will end up happening is I think the coaches' salaries will start going here because they're going to have less and less control, and the boosters are going to have more and more control. The coaches are going to have to surrender control. The days of having Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, they're going to be the last of that breed.
Well, here's my main issue with the whole thing is, I think a lot of these coaches up front are being paid too much money to begin with.
Yes, they're being paid on nothing.
They don't have. Okay, let me give you an example. I'll give you Stoops. We'll just bring Stoops into this for a second. We're paying Stoops $9 million.
Gets $4 million, and
we're paying Stoops
He's never been a head coach.
We're paying Stoops $9 million for mediocre results. Now I can understand that if it was $2 or $3 million, but when you're getting paid top 10 salary, you should win. You should be.
You should actually have performance base.
And that's where I get into it with the fans. You're paying a dude top 10 money to have 8-4 seasons every single year. He shouldn't be paid that much.
Look, Jimbo Fisher was one of 5 active head coaches. Was one of 5 active head coaches with
John,
a national championship.
Is probably top 20.
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
Were you talking to me or him?
Brad, I couldn't hear what he said. He was.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure.
But what I was saying,
8-4, John, is probably top 20 in teams. I mean, you probably don't have but 15 or 20 teams year in and year out that do that.
Then he should be paid top 20, not top 10.
Well,
on an average.
Then he should be paid top 20, then top 10.
Stoops needs to be paid top 30.
No, I'm just saying.
Because if you're top 10,
I'm
you
just
should be
throwing that
competing
out
for
there.
national championships. You should be competing for the playoff if you're top 10. And Stoops
Correct.
ain't doing that.
He's not even competing for what would be a 12-team
So
playoff.
either one of you
competing for-
think that college athletics is in trouble for all of this money or no?
No,
Yes.
no, because the
do
TV
at
money,
times,
the revenue
yes.
that they're going to get, plus the fact that, again, you've got stupid boosters that will pay money out the rear end for it until, and like I said, look, they're going to get smarter with the way that they do it. They're going to come up with incentive-based deals that are going to get competed. You know, that the agents for the coaches and all this other stuff are going to go against. And at some point, there's going to be a breaking point. And again, you're going to start seeing salaries for coaches do this. So
I heard you.
in case
I got
in case
you.
in
I
case
mean,
you're
it makes
listening
sense.
to us
I
and
got
not
you.
watching us,
This has
my
been a
hand
All
went
right,
down.
Dan Lanning. Dan
This
Lanning
has
comes
been a good one tonight. We've actually
what?
fussed tonight. We've
Yes.
actually fussed tonight.
Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning says exactly. That's what the show is actually supposed to be about. Dan Lanning says there's no chance that he's leaving Oregon. Do you believe him?
Yeah.
You believe him.
I do, because I think
You believe a head coach, a sitting head coach that says, "No chance I'm doing this," whatever it
Not every-
I'm
is.
just throwing
not
it out
every
there.
coach. Well, not every coach
He
is
said
going to
there's
leave.
no chance.
I think he's building something at Oregon, though. That's the difference.
All
Oregon has
coaches
a history of coaches
are
leaving. I'll just say this.
liars.
They are.
All coaches are liars. Say it with me. All coaches are liars. He may not leave this year. He may not leave for A&M, but
Dan
I guarantee
Lanning-
freaking to you, he leaves Oregon at some point. And it won't be because he got fired. It will be because he left.
I'm just telling you, Oregon has a history of coaches leaving. Look it up. Every coach I know, Oregon's coach has left.
And I just want to say this. Josh made a statement here about Stoops. He said Stoops, he's done a lot of good for Kentucky. Yeah, well, when you're getting paid top 10 money, you should beat Tennessee and Missouri at home. That's all I'll say on it.
You should compete against Alabama.
Exactly. That's the problem. But let's move on.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I'm not saying that you guys are wrong. I mean, but that's not. I mean, I didn't. You know, I didn't bring that up to talk about coaches' salaries. I brought that up to talk about the buyouts that's being put in all of these. In these,
well, you turned it into the
contracts
you turned it
that
into the
is
first show.
outrageous and could possibly, but it could possibly like hurt athletic programs. It has the potential. It's not going to at Texas A&M or at Alabama or Miami
Or at a Big Ten school or an SEC school.
You know, you've got Wisconsin on this list
Big Ten school.
of coaches. You had Colorado on this list. You had
That's a Big 12
Nebraska
school.
on this list.
Big Ten
You
school.
had Georgia Tech on this list.
ACC.
I mean, these are not top-notch schools.
No, but they're going to make a bunch of money in TV revenue.
The list that I gave you guys,
It may hurt. It
From
may
the
hurt.
schools.
It may hurt group of 5 schools. You haven't named a group of 5 coach yet. You haven't named a group of 5 school. What this is going to do, what this will ultimately end up doing, is it will create the autonomy where you have the Power 5 or whatever they end up condensing themselves into, and the group of 5. Okay, the money, and then the we kind of have money, but not really. That's what will happen. You'll break away. You'll have the autonomy, the autonomous 6 or 5 or whatever it is, whatever they want to have. How many conferences? It could be a big 4. Who cares? The top 65, 68 teams will break away from the NCAA. It will be the CFP. it will be all the money teams, and then you'll have this next tier, which won't have as much money, and they'll be the ones that you're talking about as far as, what hurts or doesn't hurt college football. It's them. The Power Five is fine.
I just wanted to bring that up. I felt like it's a pretty good topic to have a little debate and fuss about. All right, so my next one is Mississippi State. Should they hire an air raid from the air raid tree and try to keep Will Rogers old for an extra year?
Is he not out of eligibility? He's been around for like 6 years.
I think that's where
I do.
I think this is his fourth, and he would have a COVID year. I'm pretty sure.
Well, after Michael Leach's tragic death last year, they went and they hired this guy with no really air raid ties, okay? And he tried to change the system that they already knew, with Will Rogers and such, and it just didn't work. They had they wanted to move around to the pro style, and it just never seemed to really click. The running game didn't click. The passing didn't click. And then Will Rogers got hurt. Then the defense started playing bad. It just kind of like snowballed itself.
I got a question for you. Did the air raid work the first year Mike Leach was there?
It did a couple of games, yes.
A couple of games, but not the whole season.
The first game, he beat LSU, if you remember correctly.
A couple of games.
He beat it. Didn't he beat LSU the first game? That was during COVID.
I don't remember if it. Yeah, okay, so it's COVID. So now you're talking about a whole pandemic. You're talking about a whole pandemic too.
Yeah, it was. That's probably different compared to you guys.
So here's the thing: when you talk about teams that do a complete identity shift, doesn't matter what identity you're coming from and what identity you're going to. When you do a complete identity shift, it doesn't work the first year because you don't have the players to do it. Okay? There hasn't been really
which was
any
a
team
mistake
that's ever done that.
Opinion.
Yeah, it was.
Well, but he also
having
assumes that he's going to have more than 1 year, a full year to do with it and have more years to build it. But he was never given an opportunity to build, so you have no idea if it's going to work or not. It doesn't work in year one. It's never going to.
Yeah, then you're coming off of a 9-4 season and have your air raid quarterback in the system.
Great. The air raid quarterback in this. Okay. Yes.
It's just a dumb move. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I'm just telling you that, any time you move from one system to another, it ain't gonna work year one. It ain't just magically gonna happen. Okay. Takes a few years.
I believe. But I think that there is a possibility that they go after an air raid guy here, and that this would definitely be a fly. But now I will say this, John, I heard that they might be talking to Gus Malzahn. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's
that
right.
They might be talking to who?
Anything?
You kind of blurted out.
Who'd you say?
Malzahn. Gus.
Oh, Gus Malzahn.
I've been hearing more Gus to Arkansas than Gus to Mississippi State.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Gus goes back to Arkansas, and I'm going to tell you why.
We're talking Mississippi State. We're talking Mississippi State. I'm saying I've heard more Gus to Arkansas than Gus to Mississippi State. I haven't heard anything about Gus to Mississippi State.
Well, the reason why I think Gus does not go to Arkansas is because of the whole, if everybody remembers the parade at McDonald's, the parade All-American that played for Arkansas, Mitch Mustang, that whole drama that was involved with Houston Nutt, and I don't think Arkansas wants to get back in that situation.
When was that?
I
Remind me what year that was.
05, I think.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
It's been
but
a
still.
long time. The people in Northwest Arkansas are absolutely have completely different feelings about Gus Malzahn. So they are gushing over the idea that they could go get him.
He did coach at Springdale.
He did.
And that's probably, what did he win? Like, did he win 2 state championships, I think?
I don't remember how many he won.
I think he won 1 the last year.
Do you know who one of his quarterbacks was? Rhett Lashley.
That's a while ago.
Yes, it is. So,
all right, guys. The Kentucky-Kansas game is going to be coming on pretty shortly. I would like to wrap this up, so I'm going to do the final buzzer. My final buzzer tonight is going to be about Dickie V. Dickie V come out yesterday, and games is going to be postponed. He is cancer-free, but it has done some damage to his vocal cords, and that the doctor and being behind the mic say and put it out here to Dick Vitale and ESPN, especially Dick Vitale and his family. Prayers, you're missed in the game of college basketball. I know that I miss you. I think a lot of people miss you. I know that you've been through a lot for the last year and a half, 2 years. And I really hope to see you back behind the mic.
Lauren's his neighbor. Lauren is actually the neighbor of Dickie V and her friend. So
she is. Yeah, I know where he is. So yeah, I actually met Dickie V, and I have met him too, and I really miss him being in the game and hearing his excitement and his voice. It's a shame that this is doing what it's doing to his voice. So I just want to put that out there. That is my final buzzer for tonight.
I'll tell you what I love
on Dickie V if
is the fact that you had these topics and we went completely off kilter and we absolutely went buzz, the big fuzz. We went fuzzy, whatever.
Fuzz. Well, big fuzz.
I'm sorry, not fuzz, fuss. Sorry.
But that's good. We had a good show. Hopefully it didn't cut out too much.
Not too bad. It was
with kinda... 3, sometimes it.
I'm just here to butt heads with both of y'all.
All right. So
that's my job.
Our next show, guys, is Our next show will be Thursday night. We'll be back and we'll do our game day pick'ems, and we'll be back at our regular time, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern. I just did this one because of the Kentucky-Kansas game, and we are about to end this so we can get off here and go watch the Kentucky-Kansas game. And I appreciate you guys being on with me tonight. Home Field Apparel right there. There's a Home Field Apparel shirt. Just want to put that out there. Our code SportsCast for a 15% discount. And with that, guys, we will see you Thursday for our game day pick'em, and we'll do some football and basketball. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good one. You too.